Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Radha Madhava Madhava, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Radha Madhava Madhava, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shipad Paramahamsa, please Rajagacharya Stotra Satya, Sri Simad, His Divine Grace, Shilabhai Charanaravan Bhaktivedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skandiviti, Founder Acharya, Divine Grace, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya, Sri Haridas Thakur Ki, Samavata Bhakti Vrinda Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Janantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jaini Thai Golda Premanande, all bloodies to the assembled devotees, all bloodies to the assembled devotees, all bloodies to the assembled devotees, all bloodies to see Guru and to see Gauranga, all bloodies to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Tatsurumilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhisam Sapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahadana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sadivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Radhika Sri Satam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hare Vansakarpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within our heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantharaj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There's a second short mantra you can kindly repeat. If you listen carefully, you can catch it. It's connected with our verse today. Is it being translated? No, huh? Or simultaneous translation?
Yes.
Going on. Okay. So here's the mantra. Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
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 Mukam karoti vasanam tvang gom nangayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for attending the morning Bhagavatam class. I chose the verse that is very much in connection with the theme that has been announced for today's class. The theme being make Vrindavan villages. Before we go to the verse, I just want to give a little bit of background. As we know, or as we should know, one of the primary objectives of our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, as formulated by our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, was actually to revive Vedic culture, to re-establish Vedic culture. And the most ideal, we could say, example, the prototype of what Vedic culture is meant to be, we can find in Vrindavan, in the village of Vrindavan. Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago to actually show us what is meant to be the ideal standard lifestyle for the vast majority of people. So this particular theme, make Vrindavan villages, in addition to this verse, which is talking about some essential, basic, foundational elements of the Vedic culture, which in modern day society most people have forgotten, most common people, and unfortunately many of our devotees are knowing maybe a little bit theoretically, but in terms of practical application, we are a little bit, I would say, behind. In any event, let's go to the verse right away. It's a very well-known verse. Anyone who reads the Bhagavatam will know this verse. So here we go. Yep. Sri Shuka Uvacha.
Sri Sukha Uvacha.
Govipra Sura Sadhunam.
Govipra Sura Sadhunam.
Chandasam Apichasvaraha. Raksham Ischam Stanurabhatte. Dharmasyarthasya chaivahi. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Govipra Sura Sadhunam. Chandasam Apichasvaraha. Raksham Ishcham Stanurabhakte Dharmasyarthasya Chaivahi Shri Shuka Uvacha Go Viprasura Sadhunam Chandasam Api Chasparaha Raksham Ishtam Stanurabhakte Dharmasyarthasya Chaivahi. To save time, we will go immediately to the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, O King, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. Kindly repeat after me. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, O King, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. It's a relatively short purport, so you should kindly pay attention for the next few minutes, otherwise it won't come back. In addition to the purport, I have short reading also from conversations connected with the same theme, basically. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead generally appears in various types of incarnations to give protection to the cows and brahmanas. The Lord is described as Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. In other words, He is always eager to benefit the cows and brahmanas. When Lord Krishna appeared, He purposefully became a cowherd boy and showed personally how to give protection to the cows and calves. Similarly, He showed respect to Sudama Vipra, a real Brahmana. For the Lord's personal activities, human society should learn how to give protection specifically to the brahmanas and cows. Then the protection of religious principles, fulfillment of the aim of life, and protection of Vedic knowledge can be achieved. Without protection of cows, Brahminical culture cannot be maintained. And without Brahminical culture, the aim of life cannot be fulfilled. The Lord, therefore, is described as Go Brahmana Hitaya, because His incarnation is only for the protection of the cows and brahmanas. Unfortunately, because in Kali Yuga there is no protection of the cows and Brahminical culture, everything is in a precarious position. If human society wants to be exalted, the leaders of society must follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and give protection to the cows, the brahmanas, and Brahminical culture. Actually, this, we could say, theme, make Vrindavan villages, is from a book that was published, Hare Krishna, quite some years ago, 2007. So like 18 years ago. And in that small book, there is reference to statements made by Srila Prabhupada in another small book, which was actually, it's an essay, not exactly a book, called Gita Nagari. Small question, how many of you have heard about the essay Gita Nagari? Kindly raise your hand. Not many. Okay. It is hidden. It is hidden in the folio. The folio or Veda base, for those who may not be familiar with it, it's all a compilation of all of Prabhupada's books, letters, conversations, recordings, etc. And in that folio, we find the essay called Gita Nagari. I highly recommend that all of you read and try to understand, because in that essay, which appeared in 1956 in the back of Godhead magazine that Prabhupada was printing at the time, Prabhupada is actually, as an ideal visionary, Vaishnavas like Srila Prabhupada, they are acharyas, they can see in the future. He basically laid out the whole mission of what later he would be establishing as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And that is summarized in that small book, Make Vrindavan Villages, and I just want to mention it briefly because it's connected with the theme, Make Vrindavan Villages. If you can kindly follow this, it's very, very important. Prabhupada speaks about 4 phases that the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is meant to go through to culminate to the point of actually, in a major way, globally, establishing the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which is, of course, to bring, Guru Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Kuru Krishna Shikha, to bring everyone at the lotus feet of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about the first phase. And you can just think about when we go somewhere, maybe a new place, a new country, to introduce Krishna consciousness, these are the phases, these are the steps that we actually follow. And you'll be able to understand, as I briefly mentioned. The first is called, Prabhupada called it, the first, Prabhupada gave the term movements. The first of 4 movements, he called it Sankirtan movement, based on the chanting of the holy name, isn't it? We go somewhere, we chant Hare Krishna, people become curious. And simultaneously, the distribution of books. This is the first phase of the first movement. Prabhupada called the second movement deity worship movement, establishing, like you have here, this wonderful temple where people can come and come to know more about, well, what is this Hare Krishna mantra, who is Krishna, etc. The third phase, Prabhupada called it the spiritual initiation movement, whereby we educate or train individuals who are more curious, who are more serious in wanting to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. And the fourth one, if you're following, you'll be able to appreciate what the fourth one is. Prabhupada gave it a name which is initially maybe confusing. He called it Classless Society Movement, which actually refers to the broader plan of establishing Varnashrama Dharma within society. Vedic culture is based on the principles of Varna and Ashrama. So, in other words, Make Vrindavan Village is directly connected, especially connected with this aspect of establishing Vrindavan, not only atmosphere. We find this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 5 major activities that are recommended, which are very powerful, and which the verse explains, that is in the Madhya-lila, chapter 22, I believe, entitled Devotional Service. And I'm sure most devotees who have read a little bit will understand this verse, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Sravana Mathura Vasa Sri Murtira Sradhaya Sevana Sakala Sadhana Srasta Epansha Anga Krishna Prema Jananaya Epansha Alpasanga. Within a very short period of time, applying, introducing, following any of these 5 processes. So among the 5 processes, the 4th one, Mathura Vasa. Mathura Vasa, this is Mathura Vasa. Any temple where we have the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, where devotees are coming together and chanting the holy name, this is Mathura Vasa. Your home, devotees naturally established temple, have deities in their homes, that is also Mathura Vasa. And the 3rd, we could say, understanding of Mathura Vasa is actually directly connected with make Vrindavan village, means establishing communities. I am kind of winding up a 3-month tour right now. Malaysia happens to be the last, before I go back to India in a few days. Basically trying to present and elaborate as much as possible, and trying to bring to whatever audience I come in contact with some of the words and specific instructions, given by Srila Prabhupada regarding the importance of avoiding over-dependence, which is our problem for all of us in modern day society, over-dependence on modern day lifestyle, which is actually very much away from what is meant to be the Vedic norm. You see, it's very important for us to try and understand how Vedic culture used to be and is meant to be primarily what we call an agrarian-based culture. By agrarian-based culture, we mean where people live in the country, where the majority of people live in villages, and where the majority of people are connected with, especially Go Brahmana, cows and Brahmanas. Without the presence of cows and Brahmanas, one actually cannot exist without the other. Then Vedic culture cannot be properly established. I just want to read a very short excerpt of a conversation which was in New Orleans in America, 1975. August the 1st, and Prabhupada is speaking. This is Vrindavan. There is no need, and I don't find in Bhagavata, big factory and slaughterhouse. No, nothing. The whole atmosphere is surcharged with sinful life. How people will be happy? Now they are coming to crimes and hippies and so many things, problems, diplomacy, CIA, and what others. So many unnecessary wastes of energy, time and money. Vicious condition. Better give up city. I'm just quoting Prabhupada here. Second paragraph. Make Vrindavan like this. City life is abominable. If you don't live in the city, you don't require petrol, motor car. It is no use. They may criticize that you're going to the farm in a car. So for the time being, there is no vehicle. Otherwise, bullock cart. Where is the difficulty? Suppose you are coming 1 hour, and it takes 1 hour, and it takes 1 day. And if you are satisfied with such life, there is no question of moving, maybe local moving from the village to that village. This is sufficient. Bullock carts, why motor car? Drive here and parking problem. Not only parking problem, there are so many things. There are 3,000 parts, motor car. You have to produce them, big factory. We may think, Maharaj, this is like bullock cart. We're in Penang. We live in big cities, and how can we relate to this? Well, my point is that we need to hear this. We need to hear this much more than generally we do. And there is one book which I don't have a copy with me now. I think I brought it last time when I was here. It is a compilation of similar types of statements given by our founder, Acharya. Srila Prabhupada, of course, he wanted us to be in the cities. But what was Srila Prabhupada's primary thought, primary plan, primary goal and objective for us to be in the cities? Was, of course, to preach Krishna consciousness, was to introduce people to the lovely deities that we have all over the world, but also, and this we have forgotten, or maybe we have never known, or never properly understood, one of the important and main reasons, I would say, for ISKCON as a society to establish city temples is to actually train individuals, and I would say the majority. It is to train the majority of individuals who will come to us and explain to them what is meant to be the Vedic norm. The Vedic norm is again and again being presented in the pages of the Bhagavatam. This particular verse is one of many, many examples. We are not living according to the Vedic culture, largely. Okay, we may be chanting Hare Krishna, we may be attending Mangal Arati wherever we are, which is great, which is wonderful. But part of the mission, not only part of the mission, but Srila Prabhupada has stated 50%. 50% of my mission has yet to be fulfilled. And what is that 50% of Srila Prabhupada's mission? Is to establish Vedic culture in rural areas. Is to actually, Prabhupada told us, modern civilization, and I find myself having to repeat this again and again. I mean, Prabhupada said it in so many ways and so many times as well. Modern day civilization is a doomed civilization. We're living in a bubble. We're living in illusion if we think that modern civilization as we know today with our cars, motorways, airplanes, etc. will continue indefinitely. It is a doomed civilization. Maybe a little difficult. I mean, it's not my word. I'm just repeating what Prabhupada is telling us. There are many people who are not, as we know, devotees, wearing tilak and getting up for Mangal Arati, etc. But there is a whole movement since many years, since over 50 years, back to the land. It's called eco movement, eco villages. And more and more people are coming to understand how the kind of rat race society in which we're living is destroying us in so many ways. Without going into all kinds of details, it's easy enough to understand. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada very much wanted that we actually do these two things in our city temples. We train individuals to become good preachers, to become fixed up, steady devotees, and to advance in Krishna consciousness, primarily for preaching purposes. Our cities actually are meant for preaching purposes. Simultaneously, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to cultivate and train individuals, educate individuals to go back to the country, to adopt the Vedic norm, the Vedic way of living. This is not simply utopia. This is not simply theory. This is not simply, uh, wishful thinking. This is reality. And we as devotees, and we as a society, if we don't wake up to that reality, we will find ourselves one day in a very difficult situation. We are already in a difficult situation because we have to deal, as Prabhupada explained in the purport, with all kinds of, adharmic activities. Cities, modern day cities, means primarily heavily focused, heavily influenced by the mode of rajas and tamas, passion and ignorance. It is extremely difficult for most of our grihastas to even finish their 16 rounds. What to speak of, coming to the temple every day or doing so many other activities. We're caught up. All of us as devotees, all over the world. It's not just a phenomenon in one place, it's a global phenomenon. And one of the primary purposes of our society is to actually systematically introduce this knowledge, which is based on the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, a major portion of which is connected with what is meant to be the standard way of living, where we produce our own food, where we know what we are eating every day, where we know where it's coming from. Most of us are totally ignorant in terms of what we are eating. And you should know that most of what we are eating is not healthy food. We're not going, the Vedic standard is we grow our own food, we keep cows, we have milk. We have milk. We have a program of making ice cream this afternoon. I don't know where you're going to get your milk from, but there was a GBC resolution, some of you may know, quite some years ago, that by year 2022, which has come and gone, every temple should only offer ahimsa milk to the Lord. Ahimsa milk means food from protected cows. And the only way that we can understand if cows are protected is that they're kept by devotees. And even then, we have to check on the devotees. Yeah. So, you see, it's not immediately so easy to accept and to understand. It took me many, many years to have a little bit of understanding. I'm still trying to deepen and get more clarity. But actually, we should know, for example, that there are four, I'll just finish on this point so that we can have a few minutes for a little bit of interaction. Vedic culture is based on four standard sciences. Again, most of which are unknown in modern day society. They are unknown by common people and, again, unfortunately unknown to our own devotees. What are those four sciences? The first, we are familiar with the first one, I must say, to a large extent also. It's called, in Sanskrit, Anvikshiki, the science of philosophy. I mean, every day we attend Bhagavatam class, or we're supposed to attend Bhagavatam class to hear philosophy, to hear history, to hear about what is the Vedic culture, etc. The second is less known, very much less known, although we speak about it all the time. It's called Trayi. Trayi means the science of education. And the science of education, I'm talking about Vedic education. The science of Vedic education is twofold. And again, most of us are not knowing what that is. The first one is actual Gurukul, which is only for a very, very small percentage of our devotees, those who are Brahmanically inclined. But the majority of other devotees who are not Brahmanically inclined, they're meant to take up what is standard Vedic education in villages. If you read, and you should, the 10th canto, chapter 11, which is describing Krishna's daily activities. You can make a mental note of this, or you can write it down and share it. I request the devotees to read this, also very important purport, 10, 11, 37, verse 37. You can look it up right now. Also, so Prabhupada explains that Krishna's daily activity, when Krishna is like 6 or 7 years old, he along with Balaram are given the responsibility to look after the calves, the small cows, the calves. And Prabhupada says this is Vedic education. This is Vedic education for those who are not Brahmanas. Krishna in Vrindavan is not playing the role of a Brahmana, he's playing the role of a Vaishya, isn't it? And that's it. When he goes to Mathura, then he gets education as a Kshatriya. So that's the second science. The third science is actually the science of politics, Dandaniti, and the actual science of politics is within what is called the whole subject matter of monarchy, which is unknown, let's say, modern day society. And the fourth one, which is very important for all of us and connected with our words today especially, is called Varta, the science of economics. And the science of economics is not in the cities. We are falsely pursuing economy in the cities, but the actual Vedic definition and the Vedic standard for economy, Vedic sustainable and scientific economy is Krishi Gorakshavanijam, Vaishya Karma Svabhavajam. This is directly from Shastra. So I mean, if we want to be known as followers of Vedic culture, followers of Srila Prabhupada, who has instructed us specifically on these subject matters, which include, of course, I mean, the whole presentation. Another very important area to read in the Bhagavatam, from chapter 11, from the 7th canto, canto number 7, Narada Muni's explanation, presentation on the science of Varnashrama Dharma when he speaks to Yudhishthira Maharaj. There are different places where there is specific mention and more in detail on the subject matter. I'm just a very insignificant person trying to bring to the attention of our devotees that this whole topic, which is again related to 50% of Prabhupada's mission, it is absolutely necessary for us to give some time and some attention to this, my cell phone. And to help all of you to do this, as I go around actually in different places, I have, along with some other devotees, made it a little bit easy for devotees to actually have access. There's one book, it's called Speaking About Varnashrama. Speaking About Varnashrama is a compilation that was actually commissioned by the GBC many, many years ago. It was to commemorate Srila Prabhupada's centennial. So that means 1996, right? Prabhupada appeared in 1896, so 1996 was Prabhupada's centennial. On that occasion, the GBC actually commissioned devotees to compile, to do research on the subject matter of community development, and they came up with this book, Speaking About Varnashrama. So I want to give this book to all of you today, and maybe later, yes. Well, it's 100% containing quotes from Srila Prabhupada, and maybe later on in one of your sessions, to make it easier, somebody can just take the reference or the link that is here. When you download this link, you have access to a number of digital books free of cost, and to all kinds of information related to this topic. So my humble request is that After the class, actually, those who would like to have, they can just immediately take it from this digital card here, and then later on we'll give it so that my request is that those who are organizing this 3-day event, Vaishnavi retreat, can maybe share it with all of you. There are many things to be said on this topic, and for some it may be a little irritating to hear again and again, or it might be even a little uncomfortable to hear that, you know, modern cities are like not going to stay for a long time. I mean, it's not what I'm saying, it's what our founder Acharya and many others as well, and is what we can observe actually in our day-to-day lives as well. It's becoming, you know, I arrived yesterday and I didn't realize it was Friday night. So from the airport in Penang to come here, Friday night, you can understand, possibly. Anyways, we chanted a few extra rounds, it was not so bad. So my humble request, I'll close on this here. I'll just read this last quote also from, this is from the Light of the Bhagavad, another less known book. Who has read the Light of the Bhagavad? Hare Krishna. Okay, the Light of the Bhagavad was written also by Srila Prabhupada, and it was published before, well, it was written before Prabhupada went to the West. Here's one important quote from that book. Agriculture is the noblest profession. It makes society happy, wealthy, healthy, honest, and spiritually advanced for a better life after death. Therefore, God's gifted professions for mankind, God's gifted professions for mankind are agriculture and cow protection. And the last quote from Mahabharata, Grandfather Vishnadev, one of our 12 Mahajans, there are 3 gifts that go by the same name and that are productive of equal merits. Kind, that's an old name for cow. Cows, earth or land, and knowledge. They bestow every kind of happiness. So if we want actual happiness, we all want happiness, of course. Real happiness can be found when we hear and understand these very important instructions given by our founder Acharya throughout his different purports in his books and conversations, etc. like that. To not go over time, we have a few minutes if there's any comment or question. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Any quick question or comment? We should not be speechless. That book, by the way, speaking about Varnashrama, is by the mercy of one devotee in America who kind of just discovered this book maybe just a few years ago. He didn't know the book existed like most of you. So he took it upon himself because after reading this book, he just had, for him it was like an eye-opener, as we say. So he took it upon himself to actually, he couldn't find the book. He again made this book in digital form, which is what I'm referring to, which is available now. And he also made the book available for those who would like to have a hard copy. It's on Amazon also. Just remember the title, Speaking About Varnashrama. Amazon. You can get everything on Amazon, including speaking about Varnashrama. And those who just will be happy with the digital copy, well, there's There's more than just that book. There are other digital books that are available here. So since I don't see too many hands up, oh, there's one. Quick.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Thanks for the nice lecture. And Maharaj, I have one question like how to develop a taste for like first time when we go to Vrindavan there is different. First time when we go to Vrindavan there is a different that feeling. So how to develop taste for Lord's Holy Dham and Lord's Holy Name and
Yes. How to develop a taste for the Holy Name, for the Holy Name. Start looking after cows. Seriously. Start thinking about what can I do and what can devotees in my community do in connection with cows. There's another quote from the same book, Light of the Bhagavad. Prabhupada is telling, if you want those who are serious, and I paraphrase, those who are serious to bring about solutions to the many ills and problems that we have in the world today, must first give their attention to the problem of cows being neglected. Otherwise, it's going to be superficial. I guarantee you. If we cannot give attention to what is dearmost to Krishna, what is dearmost to Krishna? Krishna's devotees, Krishna's cows, Krishna's temples. And there are specific things that are very, very dear to Krishna, and Krishna is definitely not very happy seeing what is taking place in the world today. Number one, in terms of cows, and number two, seeing how little we are doing to actually, how much more we could be doing. Let's put it that way. How much more we could be doing. So thank you all very much. It is that time. Prasadam time. Jai Kankarashna Bharata Ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada Ki. Gaur Premanandi and announcements. Yes. Oh, well.